Sombra instead.
And we'll see if we're gonna see more of that Sombra, and so we start things out on the Ilios. However, it is gonna be that triple DPS potentially coming out of last night's leftovers. Not gonna be the case this time. It's gonna be the Pharah, as per your request here, it seems.
Yeah, and I mentioned how it's so important for them to actually bring this out here. And they're going against a dive, but once again, going to be the Lucio opposed to the Zenyatta or the, Zenyatta Mercy even that you would occasionally see in situations like this that even, Philly University would often bring out themselves.
And with Enlair being on that Brigitte, we'll see him shut down Sid potentially, who has had such a good time on that Tracer. He's been a force to be reckoned with, as we'll see both of these teams clash next to the wall. It's going to be the Coalescence, though, coming out of Leap on this. Might solidify the team fight as Tensa picks up that first blood.
They like to play this composition in a very similar fashion to their 303, just kind of sustain, prod, poke onto the point, don't really commit to anything, but then wait for that Coalescence to come up and explode. It's the same exact way that we see them play that tank composition, the way that they have adapted it to their dive now as well. They still have control here. Sid with a nice pulse bomb. That's 2 supports out, and Kalu going up top will take down Track. No more aerial pressure from them, and as we see Gator come back, that will be a fight won after an incredible swing in momentum provided to you by Sit's pulse bomb.
I mean, talking about being explosive on that Tracer, and the impressive thing was the fact that he pulled attention from the supports of last night's leftovers, and even though Enlair was really knew the fact that he was in the backline, he still managed to find a big pulse bomb, still got that advantage, but now as Decod does take out Wavy, the blade is not going to be an option, no rest for Goats, but instead it's going to be Gator going in with the Primal Rage, look to displace the opposition already at 53% towards that cap. Soundbear might solidify the team fight for them, as we will have that Coalescence on top.
It's sustaining them now, and we see the Force Transcendence as Gator does go down. Lethal trying to generate some more healing. Track now going for the barrage. Kalug doesn't have the defense matrix. He goes up for it, but the damage has already been sort of dealt. They take out Wavy. Kalug dies off, and it's going to be cleanup. And finally, a flip should ensue for last night's leftovers. We see Sit get taken down by the Brigitte. Finally, that's what is almost an inherent counter, if there is any, finally deals with Tracer. I mean, finally. It's been a while here.
And do you think we'll see actually Goats swapping things off? Yes, they still have the pulse bomb, but this is where they might look to deal with the likes of Track on the Pharah, with its Widowmaker especially. Might be an option. We'll see how he's going to use this pulse bomb, though. He will try to connect. He does find the kill onto Enlair again, shutting down that Brigitte, and with a 6v5, no rest can come through, but the kill is still happening here for LNL.
Oh, Wavy stole away a kill onto Tensa, but Track has been relentless ever since they just kind of waltzed in and left him up there in the skies. No pressure onto him. Sit gonna recall, try to get away, and for now will. 42% though, as last night's leftovers attempted to catch up here. Still utilizing that solo DPS as they run 2-1-3, and Sugar Free is on the Diva, which is typically something that they have next on, but I imagine they're going to be wanting to go Genji at some point in this map later on.
And that can be so good for last night's leftovers, even with the Sombra coming into play. Potentially it's going to be the Rocket Barrage, though, right now, coming out of Track, picking up that double kill. Wavy will fall, too. And they're getting so close in terms of capping that percentage at 81% themselves. And now, yes, we do still see Wavy with the blade. Things are not looking too hot for them. The armor is going to be their Transcendence, going to be a possible answer for LNL. And now, things not looking too hot for Goats.
Not at all. I mean, their one shot has to be the connection of Coalescence and, the blade. Otherwise, it's going to come down to Klug having yet another heroic moment with the self-destruct. If he can get that, they might have a shot, but Lethal's dead already. Here's the blade from Wavy, looking for anything, but still, that Transcendence will cut it off almost completely. And there is a kill from Kalug's self-destruct. They take out Ajax, and now Enlair falls as well. It's going to be last night's leftovers without some of their supports, now without all of their supports.
Oh, but they still look to strike back. Gator will fall. Tensa did so too, and the members here for Last Night's Leftovers still somewhat healthy. On top of the points, Sid gonna be on that Tracer, looking to find those kills. Gonna be decaught in the meantime, who gets it instead. Not only the DC, but also the kill onto the Genji. Still control with Track in the sky in favor of LNL. They might close this one out, and there it is.
There it is indeed, and hanging on with the 2-1-3. We saw Inlair swap over to a Tracer at the end just to help them close it out. But overall, finding the answer to the dive that has come out from Goats and a different style of dive that we highlighted a little bit at the beginning. And this is where we expect the 3-0-3 from Goats. This is where we also expect a possible triple DPS composition. And it seems as though that will be actually going even further to something that we saw yesterday, which was a virtual quad DPS, and Ajax being that solo healer, realistically speaking, other than the packs that could be, you know, healing teammates from Dogman. But Ajax is instead going to go over to the Mercy. Remember, he was on the Lucio last time that they played this, if I'm not mistaken, so this is a slight swap up for them.
And with UC a swap up for Goats as well, Sid is going to go back to that Widowmaker. Should have a better time when it comes to dealing with this quad DPS setup, as he will find that first kill already. Track out of the sky. The Resurrect cannot be there as we see Goats just surge forward, look for more. Ajax will fall, and already with control, Goats looking strong.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this composition, especially, you know, when Goats just like kind of sniffed this one out, kind of saw this one coming. You know, this is a setup that you saw back on the EU side where Obling was actually the Widow on this map, and they still ran, you know, that tank-heavy composition with two of them still playing tanks, 2-1-3. Sit still up there on the top. It's gonna really, I mean, Sugar Free has to be aggressive, has to put pressure on to Sit, but it's instead gonna be decod as he goes right in. Ajax has swapped over to the Lucio. They're putting the pressure down, and it goes. Haven't found anything on their side.
Ooh, and Ajax of all people to deal with that Widowmaker is gonna be Gator returning with one kill of his own onto that Genji, but Ajax being still bloodthirsty is gonna find another one onto the Reinhardt, and now with only 3 members, they're still gonna be somewhat healthy onto this point. Goat's looking to push this further, but it's gonna be Dogman with the kill in the end. Tensa will fall, and this is gonna be going on for a longer time, but eventually Last Night's Leftovers should get the cap.
Oh, they're cleaning things up, but they still have to take down Sit, who can often be so elusive. 52% on the board for Goats here. Last Night's Leftovers, you know, in the meantime, have changed a couple of things, or at least one thing in particular. Track no longer being on the Pharah as he goes over to the Brigitte, and I like that, especially as Sit actually did go over to the Tracer, but here's the EMP.
We're looking for the kill already onto Wavy. He will fall. Inlayer did fall as well, but now if Track can make it out on time, if the blade is there, it gets one, but the Earth Shatter will deny them the win, at the very least for that team fight, and with Gator coming out on top for Goats again. It looks like they might just get control at this point, as we do see that Primal Raging Winston going on and about. Decon very low, will be forced out, and it is going to be indeed Goats with control yet again.
Track swapped back over to the Pharah, actually, because they don't have that Widowmaker anymore. He might feel a lot safer here to push out that damage, and instead actually goes over to the Junkrat. Still, though, providing that pressure that they need, and that's what we talked about at the beginning. They need to make sure that someone's in there putting a lot of that pressure, a lot of that explosive damage into what is a very explosive tank composition at all times.
Oh, but Sid already takes out Sugar Free. Inlayer returns the favor, but Coalescence still being there. Only sound barrier for the side of LNL means that Gator will find another kill onto Dogman, again pushed away. And Last Night's Leftovers now is gonna just have potentially one last team fight in this round.
Still, they don't have that Mercy support because Ajax is still on the Lucio, and they're gonna lack a lot of healing, so they really have to be, you know, aggressive in these situations, and they don't have the ability to support each other inside of a Graviton, and as Wavy drops that, overtime will be going down, but I'm sure this is going to be contested for a while here. Track won't be able to make it, and that will be 1-1 now for Goats as they tie things up here on our first map in the lower bracket finals. Last Night's Leftovers trying to get a little creative in their composition to deal with Goats, but inevitably falling quite flat.
And even yesterday, the biggest problem was the fact that they swapped late to that comp, in particular with Ajax on the Lucio. This time they started out, looked good, but didn't really find the advantage overall in the end. And I like the fact that Sid was on point with his swaps too. Went onto the Widowmaker when needed, swapped to the Tracer, swapped back to the Brigitte. So this back and forth in terms of the comps that both of these teams are going to be choosing could very well determine the outcome in terms of those quick round wins. But as we move on to the third one, we do see that triple DPS this time for last night's leftovers. Dogman again onto the Brigitte and looking to contest at the very least with those air battles. Wavy this time on the Pharah.
And they had the Brigitte here, which could help them deal with Sit and have the advantage in the Tracer matchup. But still, their tank line is going to be under duress from this D.Va and Roadhog combo. They have tons of healing behind Lethal on the Moira as well. So DCOD is certainly going to have a lot to deal with.
Already looking to contest the point. We'll see. Enlayer looking for those kills. Gonna be Sugarfree finding that first one, but in the end, the cap did go in favor of Goats. And as we do see the rest of LNL look to race forward, look for those kills. So far, it's gonna be Lethal. The target dropping pretty low, but being also elusive does have the Coalescence too. But the Blade already coming out of Sugarfree is gonna secure 2 kills. And with Sid left alive on the point, he will go down eventually. Gator coming back on the Winston, but it's a matter of time. Last night's leftovers off of the back of Sugarfree. Get the point.
Really nice Blade to just cut through the defense from Goats. And now we see Gator swapping over to the Winston. He did that to try to get back over to the point to contest after dying off on the Roadhog. I mean, they were just putting in too much pressure. He couldn't get the hooks. And here's a nice entry for Goats. They have 2 picks. I mean, here's the Pulse Bomb ready as well, but they shouldn't even need it.
I mean, even Lethal hunting down Ajax in disguise is going to be Wavy with another kill in the end. Onto Enlayer. Track will fall. Go for the reset. Either works, but we do see them get the point back in their favor. 30% on the board. A lot of ultimates on both sides. Eyes on what LNL can really do off of not only the rally, but also that Rocket Barrage.
Can he get into position? Wavy having one of his own. We'll have to see who wants to get aggressive, who might get taken out when they pull theirs out. It's going to be Wavy going for it first. Won't get really much out of it. Taking a lot of pressure in the meantime as well, and contesting on the point. Kalug will actually get stuck onto, force to self-destruct just so he get his remake, and Wavy in the meantime clears out both of the flankers, Enlayer and Sugarfree now out of the fight.
Still, quite a bit of damage could come through, but member advantage will still be in favor of Goats, and as we do see Gator pick up Dogman, we'll have 70% soon enough, and this is where things will be looking dire for LNL. Sugarfree has to have another massive Blade, but this could also work. Track finding the kill onto Sid.
They have to get in here now. Sugarfree at 98%, coming forward with the Blade ready. That's what they had to use to get the point the last time. Are they going to need it here? And there's the Blade coming out from Sugarfree as he finds one opening kill. Looking for more, and we see him going for Kalug, but he evades death for now. Not going to last too much longer, though. Sit has made his way back into the fight, has his Pulse Bomb ready, putting some damage out, but I don't think that they're going to want to do anything other than pull back. Now that they have 99%, they know that they're losing the fight. Don't give away more ult charge than they need to here, so that they have an opportunity to come back in and get a quick retake and take the map.
Those do still have got a few potential answers from the defensive side. Right now, Eyes on Sid, he does have the Pulse Bomb, but so does Enlayer. So these early picks, especially as we've seen on Well, can really solidify a team fight, win for themselves. It's gonna be, however, the rest of the Seki coming into Kalug, but still keeping this to what he used to that Coalescence. In return, Sid finds a bigger one onto Dogman.
And Sid has done so well to deal with Brigittas in this matchup here, but Track does remove Gator from the fight. We see Tensa trying to work his way over there, maybe trying to go for a res, hasn't gone for it just yet, and Wavy killing himself. This is an opening now. Can they hang on here as Sid is still in this fight, putting pressure onto Enlayer, who goes back now, and here comes the res, and he somehow gets it.
Oh, and he stays alive too. So now we do see Goats potentially getting the advantage as Ajax will fall. We did go for the reset, or rather for the res, but it's gonna be Sugar Free with another blade. Finds Gator. Can he look for more? Can he find more? As Kalug will be desuited. Should go down in the end as he's relentless with the Buddy Blaster. But he will have overtime soon enough on both sides.
That actually was so important for them because now really all they really have, you know, to come back into this fight with is a Pulse Bomb and maybe Lethal. Oh, he's stunned out!
Oh.
And they lose Sid immediately. Doesn't find anything with the Pulse Bomb. Lethal's out as well, so no Coalescence. They might be able to get Gator's reset off the Primal Rage, and somehow he manages it.
But in the end, it's still Dogman with a double kill. He has that rally up and available. Kaluk coming back onto Doomfist, but gets taken out as Dogman is still relentless as ever. The res will be there for LNL too. And one last desperate attempt coming in from Sid. He's the final member. He will be taken out, and last night's leftovers clutch it and get the win on Ilios.
That really worked out in their favor at the end there. I mean, if they would have won the fight earlier, there would have been an opportunity for Goats to take their time, get set up, generate, you know, get Sit into a position where he might be able to find more value with the Pulse Bomb. He wouldn't have to get desperate and try to jump in on the first target he saw. Unlucky for him that it was a Brigida, got stunned out, got killed as well, and then they would have had extra time to build up the rest of that Coalescence and then be explosive off of their engage, off of that dive, and maybe would have had a better shot. But because they were able to last a little bit longer, unfortunately for them, it actually worked out in last night Leftovers' favor with the timing on that point. Now, going forward, you know, we still have lots more maps potentially to go through, and Goats, of course, while being pretty solid, especially on control maps that favor 303's comps. I mean, when we look at the map that they won, that's how they won it. I would say that they do look a lot better on some of these other maps where they can kind of control on a point, on a specific control point, especially when they have like a spawn advantage and stuff like that on attack. So, you know, a map like Eichenwald first point, a map like Anubis first point, we already saw them yesterday looking very good at that as well. I would say that they have a decent shot here, but last night's Leftovers, once again, they are a pretty creative team, but they have to remain creative and they have to remain able to play a Junkrat, a Pharah, or possibly even both to be able to contest this team.
I mean, looking at Goats yesterday, we might even see the May again. It happened and it worked out great for them on Anubis in particular. But as you said, coming up next, it will be Eichenwald. Last Night's Leftovers now in control, up 1-0 in the series. We will be moving on to Eichenwald, and this can be, as you said, a map where both of these teams actually can get very creative.
I mean, absolutely. Goats, yes, we could see a 3-0-3. We could see dive. We could see 3-1-2 defense from Goats as well. I mean, it really could be quite interesting. I'm getting tired of our producer over there, man. I'm getting tired of him, but
He's messing around.
he's messing around with us right now. But I mean, yeah, they could easily come with a triple tank, both on offense and on defense. We could easily see a dive from them, specifically towards that second point. We could even see some sniper play coming in as well. But I imagine Wavy will likely play a Genji at some point in this map on attack, and then we'll probably see the Orisa-style defense from them on defense. And then should they lose the first point, or rather probably when they lose the first point, they might instead swap to either a dive defense or going over to something else, so, some other version of a 2-2-2 or something of that nature.
And speaking of Genji, of course, for Last Night's Leftovers, if they're going to have Sugar Free in the roster, we know it's going to come out at some point at the very least. Yes, when it comes to that third phase, if we get to it, that's where we see a lot of those tankier compositions also come through, as well as different DPS heroes such as Junkrat potentially. But it is going to be, once again, Last Night's Leftovers versus Goats. Map is ready, players are ready, and on defense, it will be Goats to start it off.
So here's that triple tank, that 3-1-2, and it's instead of Wavy being on that DPS, they're putting Sit back on it. This is something they did in their last matchup, but ooh, hooked right back in. They've already lost their main tank and their main healer. So already a decent start here from Goats as they look to equalize the series, and once again making a strong statement for themselves at the beginning of a match, which is something they often do. And this is, I mean, Goats just really kind of toying with Last Night's Leftovers, just stealing time away from them, getting aggressive, jumping right in onto the main tank. Wavy gets stuck. They might be able to take him out, but it's not going to be the case. Everybody else from Goats is coming back in, surging forward, and they're finding those kills.
But this could bite them in the back, because in the meantime, Inlayer is still not spotted out. He's on a solo mission, but it seems like it's not gonna matter. Never mind, because Goats in complete control have Sit fragging out, gets Dogman as well in the end, and it just seems relentless. And while, yes, we still have that Tracer for LNL in the background, he had zero opportunities. I mean, just absolute bloodbath right now.
We've seen a lot of teams actually get halted in an archway recently. We've seen Envision. We've even seen Last Night's Leftovers already have this happen to them. Now, once again, struggling with this exact same thing. With just this time, it's just a single sniper, and they're even running a dive already. But in the back line now, Sit under fire by the Tracer, who will win this duel.
Oh, finally showing his face, looking for that kill onto the Widowmaker, who will be supported to the pulse bomb, barely not killing Sense off there, but the blade is at the ready, and we know what that means. Sugar Free can be so effective with him, will be hooked out, the blade will come out. Halt did stop him for a sec, but he already gets the first kill onto Wavy, looks for that bongo, gets it in the end, and finally we have Last Night's Leftovers commit, get that first take, and eventually the first point.
I'm wondering if they want to swap up to the Genji and the dive defense. Oh, they're already doing it. So they're going up straight away to the dive. A really quick swap from them. And we will see Last Night's Leftovers sticking to their guns for now, as they are on a dive themselves. And we'll see a mirror dive versus dive 2-2-2 for both of these teams. Something that at the beginning of the tournament, I don't think anybody really would have expected.
And while, yes, we did have Inlayer go in the background, find one kill, it's not really going to matter in the end. He gets taken out, Gator on point with that Winston, and he has been not only a very strong front line for Goats, but also had one of the most heroic moments, especially on those assault maps, even on hybrid maps like Eichenwald. But the fight is still going on over the payload. Sugar Free will find him in the end. Transcendence was committed for it. And if Tensa goes down, this should be enough for LNL to continue on with the push.
They're also going to take out Kalug, just buying themselves some space to push that payload. Now need to get aggressive, as Sugar Free has his blade. They have the ability to contest them in that, a really tight corridor where they're going to have an advantage, but instead sticking with the payload, allowing them to kind of open the field up for themselves. And that will possibly open things up for Goats entirely, as we already see the stick come out from Sit.
It will not get the decent though. Was looking for next. However, it's going to be Wavy with a double kill. Swift striking his way to victory. The decent will happen eventually. Sid will go down in the end, but that seems to be it. Overall, Goats will find that defensive hold yet again.
They needed to be more aggressive there, I think. They needed to just leave someone on the payload and then have their Genji, Sugar Free, just take advantage of the fact that they're ahead in the blade, push forward, give spacing to Dogman. I mean, it would have been set up so beautifully. Just go into that corridor as they kind of pour out, and you can cut through everyone.
Ooh, Dika dropping extremely low as he was discorded. The Valkyrie now committed from the attacking side. The blade is going to come out. The Wavy gets the first, gets the second. Looking to mirror Sugar Free and his performance will be able to secure the fight for Goats.
Still a decent amount of time, though. 2 minutes. Could potentially wind up being a situation where, you know, it's one fight and then a stall contest at the very end here. If Last Night's Leftovers can get this job done right here and right now, but still, it's going to be difficult because they have to find a way to pop. I mean, very early on in this fight, they're going to have to get aggressive here onto Lethal, try to pop that Transcendence so that Sugar Free can get value out of his blade.
Oh, it's interesting to see them pop that rally so early, as we've seen a bunch of teams committed for that engage. It's going to be the blade, though, coming out, gets Kaluk, Sid will fall as well as Dogman was busy getting a few kills of his own. And now, as we do see Decod is going with the Primal Rage, Sugar Free finds Wavy as well, and they will find the team fight win. Should be able to push that payload very close to that first point, or second point, rather.
We'll also see Gator and Tensa taking a little bit of time to get back into this one. Gator now just coming up. The Mercy from Tensa will come out as well. So they will be able to contest this. Without a doubt, they will be able to do that. And they'll be coming back in. It'll be Transcendence versus Transcendence. Wavy likely to try to get aggressive when he gets his blade. He's trying to get that up quickly, but Dogman should be able to pull the Transcendence out right away.
Oh, but look at Sugar Free. He was able to farm up quite a bit in terms of that charge. Wavy will
stun.
pull the blade. Stunned though, but Enlayer gets punished. Tensa with the boop. But here comes the return blade out of Sugar Free. So far looking for that Winston. Tensa will fall. Gator left onto the point, but with Kalug also soon enough dropping, things might be looking pretty bad for them. 30 seconds now left. They need to get this point as soon as possible. Sugar Free will be able to secure this final few kills, and they will have 1 minute and 50 seconds towards third.
Oh, Wavy not winning out that duel, just throwing shurikens between each other, and Sugar Free gets the better end of the deal there, at least for now. And we do see a swap as the 303 comes out from Goats. They're looking to try to take some more time away here in this last stage of the map.
Oh, but look at that call already charging in. Gator looking to dish out the damage. However, AoE healing as well as the damage boost coming in from the attacking side. Will charge up Sugar Free, getting the blade, looking for more. Does have that dash. And as you will see, the rest of Last Night's Leftovers commit. They will find the kills, and they will manage to push that payload even further.
More than that, they're also feeding ultimate to Dogman, who's going to have almost another Transcendence. And they are going to need that into this next fight. They need to be able to sustain against the 303 so that their DPS can find those kills that can set up with Brigitte as well, put some damage into Gator. Wavy already taking some pressure, gets a lot of healing here over the top. There's the self-destruct, finds Tensa.
Boy, that's a big target. Without that Lucy coming into play, especially since he was so close to that sound barrier, it's not going to be looking too hot. But Dogman having that Transcendence will commit for this fight, looking to close this one out. It's going to be Decod. Just isolated by away from his rest of his team means that he will be found. Sid with the double kill, and now with 25 seconds left, things are not going to be looking too hot. They need to go for the reset for LNL.
Sugar Free at 90% towards the blade, but that's really the most pivotal ultimate that they have against a sound barrier and a coalescence. And then on top of all of that, you've got the Graviton to worry about. Kalug is always gonna, in these types of situations, find value with the self-destruct, especially onto that Graviton itself. But here's the blade, and they're stuck in it.
Oh, the Graviton instant denial, and now with the coalescent sound barrier committed, only Decod left onto that payload. The overtime kicking in. This looks like Last Night's Leftovers will be halted at the very least for now. We'll have the self-destruct come in. Dogman still dancing around that payload, but with the rally coming in, Lethal getting that kill. It will be Goats stopping them towards that third point.
So 3 distinctly different styles displayed on defense by GOATs. Every section has a different composition. You know, point A is the 3-1-2, that triple tank Orisa setup with the Hog. They even have Kalug still on the Diva, as pretty much every one of these compositions is going to have. I mean, I can't really remember too many times, if any, that Kalug has been on anything other than the Diva. So that is to be expected, but they're still versatile even with that. You know, like I said, with the Orisa Hog setup, then they bring out a dive, a straight 2-2-2 with, you know, Genji Tracer for a little bit there, and then go into that final stage of the map, and they're back over to that 3-0-3, brawling it out, that classic GOATS comp. And it's just interesting to see how every bit of this map, they have a very different dynamic, a very different approach to how they want to deal with last night's leftovers. And in the end, they at least deny the full cap for last night's leftovers and now have a decent shot at evening out this scoreline.
And we're gonna have to see what last night's leftovers can really do with their respective defense. Instead of the, as you said, the tankier setup that we saw out of GOATs, they will be going for that double DPS in both Sugar Free on the Pharah as well as in layer on the Hanzo instead. So overall, I gotta say GOATs did look really good on that first point. It was down to some small advantages gained in the end by last night's leftovers through that Tracer still not being spotted out that opened up the point, but Sid might just commit for the Widowmaker again, and we saw how lethal he was on that first point.
Yeah, the thing that actually stands out to me is Wavy not being on a Zarya here. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see him swap, but doesn't seem like he's going to just yet. He will commit to this over to the Roadhog. They're going to have a little bit more barrier pressure this way against DCOD's Orisa pick, but Sugar Free still, I mean, these two DPS from last night's leftovers have the perfect picks for this type of composition as long as Sit is denied the angle onto Sugar Free.
And already looking to dish out the damage. We've seen and talked about how a Pharah coming in for last night's leftovers is going to be a point, but it's going to be Sid finding those angles, as you said. Wavy and the rest of his team surging forward, and already with only 3 minutes and 24 seconds, first team fight on the board for GOATs, as well as that first point.
Quickly able to secure that one, not making any swaps at all, at least just not yet. And Sugar Free, I mean, we're seeing last night's leftover completely swap over to a dive defense, just as GOATs did prior, and now Sit will make the swap. Now he's on the Brigitte, and against this 2-2-2 style dive, I think this is a very, very solid pick for him to move over to, as it's going to be able to help them deal with the flankers, particularly the Tracer, but even in some cases being able to have some impact moments by taking out Sugar Free with the blade. Yeah, so exactly what they needed from that pick.
Sugar Free still looking to dash around, already at 70%, so he's doing pretty well, all things considered, but the Coalescence will be there hunting those targets down, as well as keeping the rest of this team safe. Lethal looking to live up to his name, but in the end, Transcendence being there, coming out of Dogman, will manage to keep the team safe, and now Sugar Free surging forward, the blade finds you, and that is exactly what they wanted.
Only able to find 2 for now, but that's a decent start for them still, though, with these tanks in play, with Lethal still around. It's gonna be an allowance for GOATs to maintain their composure. They're still gonna win that fight, all things said and done. And now it'll be last night's leftovers looking to regroup and push back in themselves.
The problem is Earthshatter is ready, as well as that whole hog coming out of Wavy, so might just be pretty difficult. Again, the eyes are going to be on to Inlayer and his Pharah play to really make sure he finds those targets. Earthshatter is going to go down, doesn't quite find its mark. Self-destruct, launched up into the air. However, even with the Primal Raging Winston getting stunned up, it means that he will not open up an opportunity for that to find any kills. And as we see the whole hog come through, it pushes the rest of LNL away, but Rocket Barrage gets instantly shut down.
They needed value there. Sugar Free has a blade. Can he turn it back around as he pulls it out? Sit will fall, but Sugar Free is under pressure, and these tanks just don't want any part of that at all. They will be able to cleave him down before Sugar Free is able to do the same. And look at the time that GOATs has afforded themselves for this final stage. It seems very likely at this point that GOATs will be able to take this map, as last night's leftovers has 5 minutes of defense in this last stage that they have to worry about to be able to win this one.
It's gonna be so difficult because we already see the 303 composition coming in for Goats. We've seen how oppressive it can really be, and even though if they lose a couple of fights here, having 4 minutes and 36 seconds is just going to be plenty for them to work with. But at the very least, on the other side, we do see some adaptations. Sugar Free now on that Junkrat will look to be successful, but it's going to be the Earth Shatter. Transcendence the answer, keeping them safe. Self-destruct popped on top, finds 1 kill onto Tensa, so things looking good for LNL.
That's a start for them, but they need to make sure that they be consistent here. They have tons of damage now with this Junkrat, as well as protection for Decod by pulling out that Zarya, so they can allow him to stay up and be able to contest that point against Gator, provided that they stay away from the setup from Sit. You know, with this Brigitte, they're going to have a slight advantage outside of those cooldowns with the projected barriers. So, again, have to be careful here, but they do have a Riptire for this next one.
And that could very well shut down this, but the charge though coming in, Riptire will come out as well. Spots a triple kill! Was all the way in the back, the sneaky Junkrat coming out of Sugar Free will secure the team fight, and now with only Kalug left alive, yes, he did take down next, but that is all they get. And this allowed Enlair to secure himself a Graviton too, so now LNL will be looking pretty good, even with 3 minutes and 20 seconds at the release of Sol for another minute or so.
They're stealing away charge as well at the end of these fights, and playing against a composition like this now is a 3-0-3 straight up. As you see Tensa swap onto the Lucio, they're gonna go try to get explosive. Oh, that got eaten up, I think. Kalug got the Graviton Surge, it's gone.
Oh, the return Earth Shatter coming out of Decod did find 3 targets, and as a result, he will be able to find that double kill. So yes, he did not quite connect with the Graviton. Inlayer will be already at 50%, matching up Wavy. So the amount of damage he was able to deal was definitely crazy, but Decod, that was the man with the plan, getting the Earth Shatter, securing the fight in the end, even when things looked potentially dire for them.
So much protection too. Look at Inlayer, he's already at 70%. Already, I mean, he just had that last one get eaten up. He's trying to make sure that perhaps we forget that he just had one gobbled up by a defense matrix. Once again, Ghost just surging in. They have just over 2 minutes, but here comes the Riptire from Sugar Free, and it again finds 3!
And again, Sugar Free now popping off for last night's leftovers. I mean, we talked about how much time Goats really have to make this push happen, and this is exactly what you want out of LNL, to make sure they deny this final point from Goats. And look at that, as you said, Enlayer being able to stay charged up, has that Graviton available, matching Wavy. And yes, we do see Goats have a potential opportunity with it. It's still gonna be really tough.
On top of that, Decod has an Earth Shatter, so if they do throw those down at the same time, Decod could give them the edge. Here's the Coalescence as Wavy throws out theirs. They already have 2 kills, and Next gonna lose its back. Dogman just a little bit too late there, buddy, with the Transcendence, and Goats are winning the fight. Can they get back out, though? Can they come back for that retake? They have Sugar Free still alive. He's at 82%, 90% now, as they've killed off Lethal. Need to get on the point quick, though, and nobody contests!
No, unfortunate there for last night's leftovers. Could have been looking good if they managed to contest having that Earth Shatter as well as the Riptire. It's not gonna happen though. Goats do find their way on that final point in the end.
If they would have been able to contest there, they might have had a pretty solid shot. I mean, these Riptires getting triple kills left and right from Sugar Free. If they would have had even just 1 single kill in that situation, yes, they probably would have lost whoever went in to, you know, contest, but they might have been able to have the advantage because of their spawn location. Unfortunately for them, now it is going to be tied up. Goats finding a way back into this series, and, you know, we've seen a lot of competitive matches lately. I mean, especially from NRG, who's taken us on some wild rides over the last couple of days. But,
to say the least.
I mean, absolutely, to say the least. But this is looking like it's shaping up to be just that, a pretty wild ride between these two teams.
I mean, especially considering the fact that coming up next, it will be a Anubis status all map. This is where we could see that May play as well as on attack as well as on defense, so you don't want to miss out. Was a close one, but we are now tied up 1-1. Anubis next on the table. What are we going to expect to see?
Well, I think we're going to expect to see some adaptation or some version, rather, of the 303 comp from Goats on their attack as they're coming out first. You know, historically, they've always kind of run the standard 303 on this first point, but we saw something interesting yesterday where we actually saw them take on the standard defense of, you know, Orisa to contest by bringing out a Mei, actually. And I think that's very interesting because what it did and what it does is it actually allows them, first of all, to get past the initial standing point that the defenses usually like to play on, which is plat. I mean, just by completely shutting that down, walling it all off, now everybody that was on plat, if they want to be able to engage, they have to fall off of it, go on to point. Now all of a sudden they're right on the control point, right where Goats wants them. And yes, you can still leave your supports there, but your tank does have to come down to contest. It forces it. However, once that cooldown comes back up for that Mei wall, all of a sudden, now you're Orisa who is trying to play the game of cat and mouse, you know, just going onto the point, throwing a barrier down, fortifying, and when those things are off cooldown, allowing someone else to contest, can't because the wall comes up behind the Orisa, and now all of a sudden you're cut off from your supports and you're cut off from your point of recession as well. So a slight adjustment being made by last night's leftovers, knowing that this is going to be the case, as we will see them playing right off the bat on that high ground, and it's going to, instead of being that same style of composition, it still provided the Mei, and we're still seeing the triple support. No Zarya here, but nonetheless, they're on the point contesting on the high ground. You see last night's leftovers trying to take some shots down onto the objective.
Oh, that first cap, or rather first stick, not gonna come through. In the end, Enlayer finds the target, finds the kill, Dogman with one of his own, and this has been, as I said, was really important for Decod on that Orisa to know when he should go in, when he should contest, and so far, it looks like last night's leftovers definitely did their homework.
Absolutely. I mean, we did see last night's leftovers. I actually saw that one of the members of their staff was, you know, just very upset about their performance yesterday. Said even on Twitter that, you know, he's not even going to go to sleep tonight. He's going to make sure that they bounce back in a big way. And if they can take out Goats, that will be a great way to get it started. Get back into that rematch versus NRG, who actually reverse swept them yesterday. And here we go, 3 DPS on the board for last night's leftovers. They love playing this, but the Mei still, or actually the Mei is not any longer in play, and they're still just drilling in them here from plat and these multiple high ground angles.
I mean, even with Wavy on the Genji, Inlayer has been the one to find the shots time and time again. Finally, though, we do see a couple of good things coming out of the other side, but next, with a double kill off of the Riptire, is going to be enough to push them away. And
See
now,
them backed off again. I mean, Goats, who are going to be trying to get back in here rather quickly, they're going to want to be explosive off this push because they know that the Pharah is coming back out of respawn. You can see on your screen here that Sugar Free is not quite there, but as they get pulled around by Decod, Gator will have no control over his character anymore, and Sit, trying to pull away, just barely gets away with his life. Gets that health pack, but once again, last night's leftovers doing it with this triple DPS, and now next swaps over to the Brigida, provide a little bit more sustain, and Enlayer actually finally Sit wins out that Widow duel. I want to see if Ajax has the cooldown to be able to pull Enlayer back up, and he does indeed.
And this will signal the rest of the Goats to surge forward, look for more kills, look for more of an advantage, self-destruct to open things up potentially. He's not going to find any kills. Sugar Free in the end is going to find the Rocket Barrage with Wavy with a double kill as he gets the Blade Transcendence. Will keep the rest of LNL safe, but with 4 members only left alive for themselves to Sit, is going to be able to find next. Kalute gets another, and we finally have Goats secure themselves that first tick and potentially the point 2.
They'll be coming away from this fight without the blade, though. So Wavy really wants to get aggressive here if he can. Get behind his tanks and try to start building up that blade in what is a very stacked back corner. Goats already trying to keep, desperately trying to keep Gator alive. They've already taken Sugar Free out, so player advantage for the attacking side.
We'll see if Wavy can really charge up that blade. Eyes on him to make sure he snowballs this into a second point take, as we
so
do
close.
so already. One tick, the blade might come out. Being damage boosted too in the backline could be good. Gator finds next. Wavy gets the kill, has the blade out. But so far, seems like he gets the kill onto Ajax in the end. 2 ticks achieved, 420 now left on that time bank. And we do see a contest, but this looks like last night's leftovers are not gonna find an answer on this second point.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. The supports are trying to work their way in, but they are going to be blocked out. Goats takes it, 4-0-4. As last night's leftovers now going over to their attack. A decent job by Goats to turn that back in their favor. And certainly, I think, largely in part, due to Wavy's Genji. I mean, Goats were really struggling for quite a while on that first point. It even looked like it was possible that last night's leftovers was going to be able to, in time, possibly just get a full hold. I mean, they were excellent for quite a while there until finally Goats found that opening pick and then surged from there. Now they'll look to defend, going over to what is probably going to be that triple tank setup. Tensa on the Mercy, so there it is again, and it's going to be Sit on the DPS, at least for now, as he's picking the Junkrat as opposed to what is possible. Okay, so maybe we'll have them swapping. Not exactly sure what they're going to want to do here, whether or not they think that last night's leftovers is going to want to go for something else. And it looks like it might actually be a kind of dive defense from them instead. I don't know if, I think Goats is really trying to play mind games right now, try to figure out what last night's leftovers is going to play so that they have a good answer for it. And it seems as though we're going to be getting that triple DPS in there. No, it'll be double at the moment because that's Decod messing with my head. I don't know. It's so late here. Give me a break, all right? Sugar Free though, and Inlair, it looks like it's going to be a straight up dive more than likely, and Goats will be answering that dive with one of their own. And again, it should be noted that even when they do run a dive, oftentimes, especially with Lethal in this lineup, they love to run it with the Moira, and that provides a different element to what you would normally see out of a dive. It's more sustaining, it's more about just buying time, trying to build up that coalescence, and then exploding as soon as they get that.
And we'll see how this one will pan out, because they could very well lose those members early and see the rest of last night's leftovers instantly capitalize with a first point, or rather quick first point take. But Enlayer now spotting out the fact that there is no Widowmaker on the defensive side. No Sid, or rather Sid won't be able to contest him in disguise too much. We'll see him make the swap over to the Pharah.
Solid choice, as there won't be really much to contest him. As you mentioned, Kalug is really going to have to kind of pull out one of those Nico style plays, right? I mean, just trying to solo contest the Pharah Mercy in the sky. We already see Decod diving in, and they already got the first kills. Kalug's going to lose mess too, so now it's free reign for Inlair on the Pharah.
Not only that, Sugar Free just having the time of his life on that Genji, dashing, getting the resets, getting the kills. And this is very good for LNL, because not only will they manage to get that first point, look at those ultimates. If they stay alive going into the second point at the start, they're going to have the Transcendence, they're going to have the Blade themselves.
All right, so we saw Lethal swap, and now they're going to do that Sombra Lucio setup that last night's leftovers runs sometimes on control maps. You can see them flanking around as a duo, the Tracer and the Sombra here into the back line, trying to scope out their approach. They do catch them going into dark, and Sugar Free, along with the rest of last night's leftovers, just looking for a way in, like, you know, some way to execute, try to pull that blade out quickly. You see it generated now. Dogman has the Transcendence to back it up as well.
And look at this healing, or lack of thereof, on the side of Ghost. It's not going to matter, as it does manage to find one, but Sugar Free with the blade gets to, dashes back onto the point, looks for Kaluk, managing to get the decent self-destruct will be prompted, but the bubble is there. And that might have bought quite a bit of time here for the defense to make sure they run back in, but the kills are still favoring the side of the attack.
Oh, they might be able to get a solid time here. Sugar Free taking some damage, and we'll probably see Wavy find this kill. The healing is saving him for now, but it won't last too much longer, as last night's leftovers trying to win this one out, but the stall might be too strong.
Oh, but the Rocket Barrage will come out, gets the kill onto Wavy. Sid actually now onto the Doomfist will launch that. Diva up into the area, managed to find the D-Suit. Does go down for his troubles, but look at this. They managed to solve things out so much that they have the MP, they have the kills, and no ticks for the side of LNL.
nothing at all gained. What a stall from Goats. Last night's leftovers are gonna have to push in with nothing here on this next engagement. Probably take it a little bit slower, try to build up some ultimates, try to get some early picks, maybe make some adjustments to their composition. And actually, one of those adjustments is going to be Dogman off of the Zenyatta, and I think that's smart because you know, you're being contested by a Tracer, a Sombra, and a Genji. What better pick from support to support to go over to Brigitte? It's gonna be a much better time for Dogman. I mean, he's finally gonna be able to play the game here.
Well, he tends to commit the sound barrier. They want this fight. They want to stall even more for LNL, as we do see Wavy charge halfway towards the blade. Trigger Feed might just have his though, and without that sound barrier available for them, Gator will fall, and the blade could be very effective for them. They still look to contest Kalug, as he said, needed to be the one member that will find End Layer up in the sky. He manages to do just so. And even though Sugar Free does have that armor as well as the blade, he waits it out, finally whips it, gets the kill onto Lethal, looks for more. Can he find it? The Primal Rage denies him the kill onto the Winston. And now we might still see a good stall coming out of Goats.
As Wavy comes back in with his second blade of the prolonged fight. Stunned out by Dogman as they win out in dark, have so much control here. And Dogman is popping off right now. Tensa on the point, now putting some pressure onto the Tracer. End Layer staying alive for now. Lethal trying to work his way in. Does get spotted out. Does get ran over by Nex on that Diva as well. And once again, Goats in a stalling situation. Can they turn this one around? It's going to be a lot harder, I think.
And they do manage to hold him off and make sure they don't get that tick again. And now as Nex will lose his suit, the sound barrier will be there for Goats as well. And they could do it again. EMP committed. Wavy looking for those kills, looking for Sugar Free. It's going to be Dogman though, finding one to return. As he said, still popping up on that Brigitte. And Sugar Free with another blade will look for Tensa, finds him, and this finally might be it for LNL.
The Tracer coming back in. Sit, going to go with the Pulse Bomb. They don't actually find the kill. Instead, it's End Layer who finds one, and they do secure it, but a minute behind Goats as they really made them fight it out for that one. Goats with an excellent stall. They're one of those teams that actually can stall quite well. We've seen Gator be a hero in a lot of these situations alongside Sit, even at times as well. You definitely want to look back. First of all, if you want to know what I'm talking about, to Hanamura on their point A defense, but also hint, hint, wink, wink. If you're trying to get involved with this Twitter giveaway, go back, look at it, you know, check out what I'm talking about, but also hit that clip button and send it to us on Twitter because we want to, as mentioned, see the best clips that you guys can think of that come out of this tournament as they happen. We love to watch that kind of stuff and definitely looking forward to seeing some of those.
I mean, even in this series, we already had some beautiful moments from players like Sugar Free, and even on the other side for Goats, we'll see what they're gonna do this time around with their defensive setup, and it's looking like they're actually gonna go for that double sniper. This is something they've played before, but interestingly enough, they'll have Tensa alongside Lethal on the Brigitte.
All right, once again, that dive attack, which should actually be decent, but will perhaps see End Layer swap once they notice that Lethal is on a Brigitte. So I'm not sure what he's going to want to go to. Perhaps a sniper of his own could be possible, but this double sniper has put a halt to many attacks on this first point defense. You know, not really per se on this point, I would say historically, but I would say over the last few days, we've a lot of times an Orisa-based double sniper has destroyed teams, and one of those teams is last night's leftovers.
And look at this coming out of last night's leftovers. They're gonna make some big swaps. Actually, gonna commit for that. Free. I was wondering whether or not Sugar Free is gonna run back too. And this could be the answer because with the double DPS setup, it's gonna be very tough to deal with them. They need to find those angles early.
I actually wouldn't have been opposed to the Genji actually staying in this composition because they would have been able to contest the high ground. They would have put some damage onto Sit. So now they really are just going to be playing the ignoring game, just try to deny sight lines and try to take kills right off the bat, isolate the tanks if they can. Wavy with a massive Dragon Strike takes out the core tanks. They're gone, and Goats surely are going to be able to win this one.
And that's the problem you can really find yourself in if you have that quad tank setup, or rather that tanky setup with a 303. You're gonna give out a lot of charge for those DPS members. Wavy opening it up with the Dragon Strike, finds 2 kills, will be brought back up. And now Ajax, if he's gonna get killed off late, not gonna be the case. So this might be better for LNL, as they at the very least have decod with that Earth Shatter. But getting into a position where he can be effective with it is gonna be so difficult.
You have Tensa, Wavy, and Sit, who are very unlikely to actually be on the point. You have Gator, who's gonna try to focus them down from the bridge as long as humanly possible. They have a Supercharger as well. Decod's rushing right in, but it gets taken out by the barrier that was just sitting there. It doesn't even move.
Oh, Sugarfree finds 2, gets taken out. Sid, as said, uncontested on that high ground, is going to be able to claim quite a few heads, quite a few kills. Ajax finally is going to be the member to actually contest. Self-destruct will find 2! Kalug again with the big ones here, as Ajax will die off late. Triple for Kalug, well deserved. And now Gator will like to come back in on that Winston just so he can make it back on time, but only 45 seconds left on the clock for LNL.
I mean, Sugarfree has been really struggling on the Zarya. He's been eliminated quite early, so he's not gonna... It's very unlikely that he's gonna have his Graviton Surge in this fight at all. I mean, in this push at all. He's at 54% now. If they throw out the Dragon Strike here, if he takes too much of this damage, I don't know if he's gonna get it. They do get the Sound Barrier onto everyone though, so this is their opportunity. It has to be here.
We do see the self-destruct committed on the other side. Wavy, not too effective with that Dragon Strike. It's gonna be Sid who finds a kill in the end though, so it's a 5v5. We'll have Sugarfree finally be a bit more effective. There we do see them get that first tick soon enough. The second, nobody able to contest from the side of Goats. They do have to drop somebody. It's gonna be Kalug, who will try to stay alive with that mech, but it's not gonna be for too long. Last Night's Leftovers looking much better right now.
We'll see Sid jump down. He's gonna lose his life, but they will have the Emperor Sight to see the attack, but obviously it's not going to be as effective against this particular composition as it would be any other, because by the time he comes back out of that spawn, they're already going to be on the point. There's no need for the Emperor Sight anymore. So I imagine a swap will come out here. Here's the Graviton collecting them up. Decod finding the kills for Last Night's Leftovers.
Oh, can they find this stall again? It's gonna be Sid coming back out to Reaper with a double kill. This is something we've seen coming out of Goats in the past on Anubis as well, so already looking to prove to be effective. However, Dogman finds a double for himself with the use of that Coalescence, and coming back from spawn, Gator actually gets the charge kill onto Dogman, finds Next as well. Overtime kicking through, member advantage on defense, and this is looking like Goats will make a stop to this one, but the Earth Shatter finds Free. Sugarfree coming on the Tracer, still looking very unlikely for them though.
Oh, they had to commit the Earth Shatter to kill Decod, but I think it was worth it. They take out the tank, the main tank. Now they just don't have the sustain on the point, and Goats do make the stop. 3 points though for Last Night's Leftovers, but still they have over 5 minutes, or sorry, over 4 minutes to defend against Goats, and all they need is 33% towards that second objective. They looked phenomenal though on their first defense. That first point defense was probably the best showing that we saw from them. So we'll have to see if they do continue that, or perhaps Goats is just gonna say, we're gonna play something that we know for sure can get in and deal with that right off the bat, and perhaps swap later. But it seems as though we're gonna be getting at least, you know, that triple tank setup. Maybe a Mei will come out. We'll have to see exactly what Goats wants to do here. But otherwise, Last Night's Leftovers playing a triple DPS. And it's going to be Nex and Ajax actually on the supports here, as Dogman is on a Sombra, even for point A.
This could be very risky for them. High risk, high reward though, as we do see Dogman again on the Sombra. We've seen it come out plenty of times on point B, and we've seen it come out on point A during Season 2, but hasn't been quite effective in this current meta when it comes to this first point. There's just so many options potentially for Ghosts here to really find themselves victorious on that first point, but 4 minutes and 4 seconds is the time they have, and it seems like they're gonna go for the Mei again.
They will indeed, and here it goes. They have that triple support. Starting off that same comp with the Mei, going forward, already trying to put some pressure out. They will find their way onto the point, but quickly Tensa will fall.
gets hacked, and then following it up will be LNL with a potential second kill. Now onto Gator. We'll see Sugar Free claim more as he does find that damage in. Already 50% towards that blade, and this is what I was talking about. This can really pay off for them, having so much of an easy time when it comes to building up those ultimates. Can really snowball heavily in their favor, but with Wavy making a swap now onto the Roadhog, he can definitely find a pick, and that could very well be it for this defense.
Still though, these flankers are just just prickling away, and that's actually enough. Ajax falling quickly to the right clicks from Wavy. He didn't need the hook for that one.
Oh, and that's exactly the big problem they could face. But Gator jumping really, really low. He does have the Earth Shatter. Coalescence at the ready. He pops it out, but the EMP comes out too. Sugar Free, enabled by it, gets a double, gets a triple. Finally gets shut down by Wavy, but is the damage enough as Ajax coming in, gets a kill for himself. Wavy still being effective on this Roadhog will make things very difficult for NL as Ajax will be hunted down, gets shut down too. So much CC for Goats as they will secure themselves that first stick. And eventually the point, but that was a close call for sure.
How do you deal with the that particular duel? You talk about Lucio and Tracer going up against Roadhog, Brigitte. It's just an impossible task to take on. 250 on the clock though for Goats as they're coming around. They have two support ults to charge onto this point with Sugar Free once again on the Junkrat. They had a great stall on Eichenwald. It wasn't enough, but will it be enough here?
Oh, again, Wavy finding these early picks has been so pivotal for the side of Goats as the wall will come through. Inlayer looking to stall things out. Sid is going to find another kill though. It is a 6v4 advantage for now. Looking to go in with a charge. Wavy finds Dogman too. And this is looking very grim for LNL. Coalescence committed now from the side of Lethal as the kills are still going through for Goats. And this just might be another map win for them.
Here comes the Riptire. Has to come out right here. They find the kill onto Tensa. That's a pick. That's a start. But remember, it's 33%. You don't have a lot of time to work with here. There's the Mei. Tensa coming back as well as he's looking to contest, looking to sustain. Oh, Sit takes him out. And the Mei will be dying off shortly here as well. 33% acquired. Goats now with the lead. 2-1 as they take it on Anubis.
And they make it match point for themselves. As we will be moving on to that escort map, it will be Route 66. And even though, yes, it looked really good for last night's leftovers, we praised them for definitely having a good time when it comes to their prep with the use of their staff. And it, as said, was looking good, but not quite good enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, Goats is showing that they're remaining composed. They're making sure that they're not going to be falling short in these like map 5 situations. I mean, we could still very well see that last night's leftovers is a capable team and getting us to that stage. But I think Goats is fired up. I think that there's something lit underneath them that is inspiring them to make sure that that doesn't happen anymore. They want to be able to continue this push that they got reignited yesterday and make sure that they continue forward and start closing out these matches. It was a very unimpressive start, a very unfortunate start to their contenders trials, but now the ability for them to bounce back, it happens here and now. It starts here and now. You got to take out last night's leftovers. You got to get that rematch versus NRG and start winning these series, closing them out to be able to take this tournament, make it the third in a row actually for them because they took Open Division as well.
And we'll see whether or not they can make it happen. Coming up next, Route 66. Goats are now one map away from advancing to the grand final, securing themselves at the very least that second place spot.
I mean, a 2-1 is where they're at right now, and this is where things have fallen apart for them in the past. I mean, we see them go to a map 5 and then get taken out in matches. This has happened to them, you know, twice, 3 times or something like that now. So this could very well be a continuation of what has become kind of a prophecy, a streak as of late. But I think that they're in stride right now. I think they're playing very well. I think they're going to be able to close this one out here, either on Route 66 or in a map 5. I think they're going to come out on top in the end, although I give it to them on Route 66 here, and I'll tell you why. The first point, I think, is going to cater to them so well. I think that they're going to be able to play their style, that aggressive, you know, tank-centric style, then move over to a dive. I think they're going to be able to have that gear switch and be consistent throughout the map. I think the one part where they might struggle if they don't swap early and maintain momentum is that final stretch of the map, that third stage. But easily we could see them go over to a 3-0-3 as long as they can deal with what might come out as a Junkrat pick from last night's leftovers in that section of the map. I think that they're going to be able to, you know, pull this off.
And we'll see if that will be the case as the round is ready to go. Goats starting on offense, but look at this defense from last night's leftovers. Surging forward, looking to push them away. It is going to be Track now coming into play for LNL on that Widowmaker, finding a kill off in the back. Lethal now contested by Dogman. We'll go for the reset instead. Nopes out of that situation, and very good start for LNL.
All right, Lethal going to swap likely to the Moira as well. They're saying, you know what? They're going to pull this type of stuff on us. We know we're better than them at this. We know that we're more experienced than them at this at the very least, and they're going to go out with this themselves as well. Gator under pressure, Track uncontested on the Widow. They do drop Gator, and there's Decon with that Earth Shatter.
I mean, fatty shouty indeed.
Oh.
Quad, or rather 4 people caught by it. Every kill on the board for last night's leftovers. And I like the fact that we do see Track come online on this Widowmaker pick. Definitely playing very well right now. We'll look to keep up this momentum, and look at how far forward they've been able to position themselves and looking to keep the snowball rolling. They're gonna have Sugar Free charged up, and with another Graviton could be looking good. Track finding Tensa.
Oh, they're going to try to isolate in this cave, but it's just not going to work out. Instead, they're going to be countered and easily taken out as last night's leftovers, making me eat my words. This first stage of the map has been all them all day long. Sugar Free now with the Graviton, Decod with yet another Earth Shatter. We'll have to see if Gator can get what the Goats proclaim to be the one thing that they can have to turn around fights, and that's those fatty shatties, as they call them. And here's that Graviton from Sugar Free.
Oh, but that might secure a couple of kills. However, it's not going to come through for the side of Goats. In the end, we'll see Gator charge right back in. Kills still favoring last night's leftovers, as we do see Decod finally fall, but so much time already wasted here for Goats, and even if they win the next team fight, they have so much distance to cover.
Wavy only at 88%. Decod trying to make his way back, so they can't be aggressive here. They have to wait for their main tank. They have to wait for Reinhardt to come back into this one, but they have several options when he does. They have the ability to speed boost around this corner, and that's likely what we're about to see here.
We'll see the Earth Shatter come through. Decod on fire tonight, as we will see 2 more kills, making that a third in favor of last night's leftovers, and this is such a big turnaround for them. Looking so dominant right now on Route 66.
Absolutely, and I don't even know if dominant is, you know, suggesting exactly what's happening here. I mean, they are destroying them, absolutely destroying them. 1 minute left. They haven't even made it around the corner yet. Track under pressure. They might be able to find this kill as he's at 4 HP. Somehow stays alive. Sugar Free gets dropped, and this might be their push. They finally should win a fight as Decod goes down as well. A clean engagement from Goats, but perhaps it could be too late. We should easily see last night's leftovers re-engage from their spawn. Goats will have to get very aggressive here to put themselves in a position to contest them in close quarters, but they're going to stick onto this point. They need to make sure that they stay on it to push it quickly so that it's just one more fight for last night's leftovers.
But that fight could very easily go in favor of last night's leftovers because not only do they have the Earth Shatter, which has been really good coming out of Decod, they have that Graviton, and as long as Kaluk is not going to have a big Matrix again, it's going to be the Graviton coming out, securing that first kill onto Tensa, looking really good for them as they continue to pressure Goats into a tough spot. Next finds another Kaluk, does find a kill in return. Decod does get thrown down by the Earth Shatter, so maybe Goats still find their way.
We'll have to see if they can deal with Track. The Coalescence coming out from Lethal already. He's got that one coming out again. And it's going to be able to help find the kill onto the Pharah. They're hanging on here. Looking like they will be able to finish out this attack. I don't suspect last night's leftovers will be able to pull back into this one. And we see the, that style with the Coalescence displayed by both Dogman and Lethal in that fight. That aggressive take of the Coalescence to put out some ranged pressure. Goats coming out ahead. Look at this though. Last night's leftovers once again so aggressive, just posturing up right next to that payload as soon as those gates open.
Ooh, now though, Gator was isolated somewhat from the rest of his team. Rally is available. He still finds a kill onto Decod. Graviton is going to follow through too. Lethal does go down, but this is going to be Goats charging forward, ramming their opponents down, getting those kills, and should be able to secure quite a bit of distance on this payload, even though, look at that Track. He's gonna sneak his way there, gonna be finally spotted though by Tensa.
Yeah, Tensa takes him out and awards himself a Soundberry to boot. And coming back into this fight, Sugar Free needs to generate his Graviton Surge here. I mean, that's gonna be so important to cluster up Goats so that Track might have the ability to pull off a little bit of a sneaky barrage up over the top as he tries to get into position for that. They do take down Gator's Shatter, and there's the barrage right off the bat into a sound barrier too.
Oh, and the returner Shatter is going to be somewhat better as it finds two targets. The Coalescence will be even more effective. And last night's leftovers clean up on the payload Track. Getting Kaluk there in the end. They did commit all of their ultimates to make it happen. But with 1 minute left on the clock, it's still going to be somewhat difficult for Goats to make their way through onto that second objective.
That was a solid play though from last night's leftovers. Pull out the barrage, and we can talk about that later as we already see the next fight happening. Again, that aggression from last night's leftovers on defense here, who are just taking it to Goats, struggling now to take on the tank lineup from last night's leftovers, backed by a barrage-toting Pharah, and Sit in the back line has found the Pharah, looking for Moira specifically, caught them into the cave. We'll have to see how this next matchup goes, where, of course, Spawn in favor of the attacking side.
And at the very least, Sid should be able to push this into overtime if needed. It's going to be Ajax the one to contest him. Now even with the Coalescence, Dogman coming in, finding the kill, and having that armor on top of him. Last night's leftovers sustain this fight out. Only 5 seconds. We need to see somebody on the point. The Graviton coming out. Make sure that will not be the case. Track finding the kills instead. And last night's leftovers with a very good defense, playing very aggressive, something we would have expected out of Goats and making it work.
Yeah, I mean, who would have suspected that last night's leftovers was going to take the Goats comp to Goats right out of the gate? And who also would have suspected that Goats would have struggled so much with it? I mean, going head to head with the composition that they have helped, or at the very least helped to pioneer. You could even give them, even more credit than that. Certainly, I mean, the name alone awards that to them. But last night's leftovers, phenomenal way to bounce back in this one. I mean, the preparation, the communication that it takes to be able to pull that out against a team that knows exactly how it's played and possibly even knows some of its weaknesses. Still, they're unable to do anything about it as last night's leftovers swap and create this new dynamic approach where they have a Pharah and Goats just struggle for a long time to try to deal with it, and finally Sit answers, but it's just too late. It already lost so much time, and it's going to be likely at least kind of a dive setup, unless it winds up just being straight tank play here from the attacking side and solo DPS of Track on the Widowmaker. I mean, what do you make of this attack? Obviously, we're going to get double sniper from Goats. Last night's leftovers has to find some way, to win the ground game and try to deny sightlines, or they have to find a way to push pressure out to those snipers.
And we've seen it happen, actually, especially on the EU side of things. Teams like Snakes, in the form of asking on that Hanzo in particular, has been very successful when it comes to dealing with these double sniper comps because the rest of his team can really bring out the support, make sure he stays in a potentially good spot to find said sidelines. But as the round will start, this is going to be looking good for LNL just because with the composition Goats are bringing out, they can't really match them in that far forward aggression with the defensive hold.
Already coming around the corner, Goats basically giving that one up as we see swaps now likely to go over to a dive, I have to imagine, and that looks like it will be the case. Sugar Free should be swapping to a Genji and does as well, and instead of the Tracer, it'll be Track instead on the Widowmaker, likely to go up to that high ground up on top or work his way around the side. It looks like it's going to be the latter.
And this should at the very least have an easier time when it comes to dealing with said double sniper composition. Sugar Free, we've seen how explosive he can really be on that Genji. We'll look to keep it up right now. However, it's going to be Ajax under a lot of pressure, but with the rest of his team being by his side, he does manage to stay alive. However, Track won't, as Sid finds that target. Wavy getting another, these double snipers there right now for Goats, just making sure they win out the team fight in the end.
They're hanging on. Tensa staying alive here as well. The payload did get a decent amount of distance covered, and interestingly enough, it's going to be lethal here on the Zenyatta that you don't often see them running, but lately they have put him on it. I mean, oftentimes when they do run the Zenyatta, it's when Majesty is playing for them, but nonetheless, it's lethal here. And a nice shot from Sit to secure one pick for them and force out the res from Ajax. Now they won't have to worry about that in this coming engagement, and Tensa, if he can stay safe here, will have that advantage.
And if Wavy is at the ready with the Dragon Strike, might just push them away with that use, but it's going to be instead Decon fighting both of the supports, and without any supports available for Ghost, it's going to be difficult for them to really sustain this one out. But as they do manage to find 2 kills, they're going to, at the very least, look to contest that payload. However, soon enough, we might just see Kalub lose his suit. In the meantime, the Wavy, look at him going in the back, finding Track, takes him out of the equation, but nobody left on that payload. It's gonna be Kalub having to be the one to contest.
Yeah, I imagine they're gonna self-destruct just to allow everybody else to get onto the point. So there it is, we'll see the engage come in behind it. Gator takes down Decod, and Sit is out, but Tensa might be able to find the res here?
Well, Sugar Free, though, coming in with the blade, will find Lethal. Look for more, does have the dash, sets the sights out to Gator. And with him going down as well, this should be Last Night's Leftovers taking that first point.
Yeah, they should get it. Just have one more body to clean up, and it is the Baby Diva. As somehow he's sustaining for so long, Kalug dies off. They take the point, 340 now on the clock for them, as Wavy swaps over to the Genji, looking to contest Sugar Free, and it's Track winning out that duel, that matchup between the Widows.
It's going to be important now having that infrared side will also get them the intel. Knowing where their enemies are going to come from is going to be very important, as they will this will allow them to set up very aggressively right now. Sid will make the swap over to the Tracer though, and Goats committing to that full-on dive. But so far, Last Night's Leftovers, man, bringing it to them on Route 66. 3 minutes and 5 seconds for this attack.
Oh, Lethal gets found in the back line. Decod sneaks out a first kill for them as they allow him enough time to get that. And in the meantime, there hasn't been a single contest from Goats at all. They just let them push the payload while Decod was just nowhere near his team.
I mean, Dogman, potentially the MVP, covering so much distance with it, but it's going to be the blade coming out of Sugar Free. Kaloo did pop that self-destruct force transcendence, but look at how close that payload is to set objective. Only 3 members left from the side of Ghost as they desperately try to fight it this one back. Self-destruct is going to push them away. Nobody on the payload finally coming back in. It's Sid and Kaloo, but it's 2 very squishy targets, and LNL looking to bring us to that 5th map.
Oh, they take Gator out as well, 1.67 meters away, as it's going to be the Transcendence to come out from Lethal. Tensa going for the res, has the ability to pull it out. It's on to Sit, he dies off eventually, so does Lethal, and it's just Sit trying to contest it. It's 0.04 meters away as Wavy pulls out the blade. He was going to die anyways. Last Night's Leftovers take it, and now tied up 2-2 in the matchup. You said we're going to go to map 5. Indeed we are, and that one's going to be Lijiang Tower.
And this is gonna be so tough. I mean, as you mentioned before, is the curse gonna come in for
no.
Goats again?
I might have cursed them. I might have
It's-
continued the curse just by saying that they're going to be able to finalize this matchup. I thought that they were going to be able to do it here, but last night's leftovers on their defense really, really surprised, I think, to pull out a 3-0-3 defense and also, to bring out that Pharah swap as well, just to provide, again, another dynamic to this type of composition, and then be so solid with it, to be so efficient in every single fight, not overcommitting, a lot of times still looking very aggressive, still taking it to Goats, and Goats just falling to the wayside in almost every one of those early engagements where they were struggling even to get that first cap.
And we've seen Track come in for this team, look very strong as well. He said it himself on social media that yesterday's performance, he wasn't really happy with it. He definitely wants to bring it back up in a big way this time. Seems like he is indeed stepping it up. And now, as we move on to Lijiang, that will be our decider for who advances in the grand finals. And now that you've cursed them, Hurix, are Goats going to be on the menu for last night's leftovers?
It's possible here. I mean, last night's leftovers look pretty solid. Typically on control maps, this is where we'll see, some triple DPSs where we're seeing 303s sometimes come out. They look very dynamic on this map in particular. They have the 132. They have the possibility of a 222 and a 303. We saw a lot of different looks from last night's leftovers the last time that we saw them on this particular map here on Lijiang Tower. Even when you look back, just earlier in the series on Ilios, we saw 213, we saw 132, we even saw quad DPS come out from them as well. They're bringing Nex out into this roster, which suggests that that at some point they're going to want to bring a 222, possibly with Brigitte being played by Dogman if they don't have him on a Sombra or something, depending on who who they want to go with, because I'm thinking Last Night's Leftovers are going to be trying out a lot of different creative stuff here on Lijiang Tower to deal with what is likely going to be, certainly on Gardens and possibly on Control Center as well, a 303 from the GOATS roster as well.
And you mentioned the Sombra especially, and in this current meta so far, especially on that Control Center, we've seen a lot of brawls. We've seen a lot of those tankier setups. But Last Night Leftovers, bringing those triple DPS, we'll be curious to see if they do it again, as we will start things off. It is going to be next coming in on the Junkrat with the triple DPS for themselves.
All right, so the 1-3-2 already out for Last Night's Leftovers. Typical startup for GOATS, though, as they bring out the 303, go through White Room, Sugar Free over the top. Already they expect this, have multiple angles on GOATS, now looking to try to isolate, but it's going to be Lethal who falls early, and now it's the Brigitte in trouble as well, as he's getting thrown up into the air. Oh, a headshot, possibly trying to take down Wavy, and they do solidify the kill, so now 6v4 advantage and player count. Two Last Night's Leftovers, they're looking to try to contest this perhaps, but might allow GOATS to get the cap. Do manage to actually go in and contest, so GOATS not going to likely get anything out of this.
And that's going to be very important, because any percentage win here for GOATS could have been big. You would have expected the Brawl comp to really get that first point cap, and it might still happen because Denzel Lethal coming back in. You find the kills, and that's of the back of Sid, who has been a menace on that Brigitte, already ready to go with the rally.
That's so insane that they win that out. I mean, you're talking about basically when we look at characters that work decently well against this composition. Obviously, it falls a lot into playstyle to be one of the biggest factors, but these characters in particular, you're looking at double explosives with a Widow, and they still weren't able to solidify those kills. GOATS hung on until they got their respawns, and here's the Coalescence. Obviously followed up by a lot of aggression, and Sugar Free not getting the barrage off that he wanted. GOATS hanging on once again, controlling this point here, already up by 35%.
And I would expect now Last Night's Leftovers to look for the regroup, look to open up a fight with that Riptire coming in for White Room, looking for those targets. Doesn't get spotted just yet, but can he find those kills? So far, the answer is no, and with that, we'll see the rest of GOATS search forward. Lethal does get taken out though, so that might be still the opening. They were looking for Earthshatter coming through, but Dogman gets a second kill for himself, and we'll have to see L pick this one up and get the point in their favor, because it's already at 60% Sid, still as effective as ever on the Brigitte. Finds next in the background somehow, but does get brought back up, but the Transcendence is there, however the Graviton to answer.
GOATS showing off on this control point map here. Koth is where they feel so good, especially on this map here. If they can even get Control Center next, this could be very good for them. However, we have seen them struggle against some of these high DPS compositions. Next goes over to the D.Va. They're going to instead go for straight 2-2-2. Sugar Free has the barrage. They're looking to try to protect him to be able to swing this fight behind it. Dogman at only 11% towards his Transcendence on this Zenyatta right now, and I don't know about this one, man.
I really want to see that damage output that Sid was able to do, or rather dish out so far, as we will see overtime kick through. The rally to open things up for GOATS, but the barrage will be there. Gets the D-suit, so small advantage finally though. We'll see Coalescence come out of Lethal, and as Sense is going to find Dogman too. It's looking like GOATS might just get this one 100-0.
It looks like that will be the case. Sugar Free dies off. Overtime ticking. The Mercy trying to go for the res. Ajax trying to get in there, but will be blocked off. I believe shield bashed by Sit, as well as just walking into everybody else. GOATS with a massive lead now. 1 round ahead of Last Night's Leftovers. Can they close it out, or will I have, or have I cursed them to yet another takedown in a 5th map? Last Night's Leftovers now going with that kind of basically the same composition. Actually, we saw them work with Track actually playing the Pharah on the last map that allowed them to get to this stage and enabled them there. And GOATS has shown that they are vulnerable to Pharahs on this map, especially, Tensa and Sit can struggle at times with that, possibly even Lethal, who, if he doesn't have the fade, will be very prone to taking damage from Sugar Free up here in the skies.
And already we do see LNL look to charge forward, contest him on that point. It's gonna be Kalukto finding Ajax, and that is not what you're looking for, LNL. You should have waited, poked and prod with the use of that Pharah, and now as Lethal finds Seacon as well, this is just gonna be another clean fight for Goats.
No chipping away allowed here. Goats already taking the first fight, should be able to take the first cap as well, as they could very well put themselves in a position to silence anybody who thinks that they were going to be losing on a fifth map. And they do take yet another kill. They're looking so dominant now, how quickly they turn things back around, and now are, obviously the team in the driver's seat here, where on the last map it was last night's leftovers almost throughout.
Oh, I mean, they do push them right into their spawn. Finally gets punished there. Sugarfree finds the kill onto Sid, who just has been relentless. I mean, even whipping Sugarfree out of the sky in that previous team fight. However, he needs to come back into this one. Does have the rally. Should be a possible tool to engage this one. It's going to be the Rocket Barrage on the other side, as you see the Air Shatter shut down two main tech targets, and with the Graviton committed as well, Goats come out on top and keep control of this point.
Playing to their style and doing it so well. On top of that, they did just commit a few things there, rather just one thing there that really kind of impacted that fight. They still have the leftover armor from the rally that was committed to it as well, but Coalescence here to put pressure onto Sugarfree. No mercy to help him as well, so he's gonna have to stay away from it when they do engage there.
Oh, and look at that, Leafa already potentially hunting him out. The sky, Self-Destruct will be popped up by Kalugi. In the meantime, though, Gator finding the charge out to Decon is gonna be good. Already 70% on the point. Wavy takes out Sugarfree too. No DPS left alive. Earthshatter again coming out of Gator. Sets them down. End layer unable to charge up that grab. And this is very grim for LNL Hurix. I just can't see how they're gonna win out on this one.
I don't know. They don't have the support for Sugarfree on this Pharah. It was something that they were able to kind of pull off in their last setup, but not this time. They have to be a little bit more aggressive with that Lucio, and it's just not working out for them. And in terms of aggression, look at this. Sugarfree's gonna have to actually sneak his way over to the point and try to get a flip, but in the meantime, his team is missing his damage output. They're gonna probably lose this fight.
And look at that, Sid is already there, making sure that they do not even get the flip. But we'll see a 1-for-1 trade in the end. Graviton coming in for the other side. Sid fueling up the Pharah, actually winning this one out just with that flail alone, as he almost takes him out. Does get him in the end. Now goes for Ajax, and we might just see Goats break that curse, win this one out, and advance to the grand finals.
3-0-3, going back to their roots. That's a 2-0 finish. LNL is eliminated, and it's going to be a rematch. Once again, it's the third time now that we will have seen or the second time, at least in this tournament, that we will have seen Goats versus NRG. They play each other in Beat Invitational. This has quickly become somewhat of a rivalry between these two teams, where NRG fell through